So, reading from the Prabhupada Leela Amrita, this is the story of how Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, started everything. So this is a Prabhupada mentioned Gopal Agarwal, the man at whose home he had first stayed after arriving in America in 1965. Gopal's father he said, was a very rich man in Mathura, and Gopal had come to America to be an electrical engineer. He was not doing as well as he would have by staying in India, Prabhupada said. Gopal's wife Sally used to say, "My husband is a lost child of his parents." People are working so hard day and night for these temporary years, Prabhupada said, although by laboring less than that, they can go back to Godhead. Just to get a nice car, a nice wife, and a few children by working so hard, and by the same labor, if he devotes himself to Krishna consciousness, then he goes back home, back to Godhead. And what is wrong there? We have got so many Krishna conscious devotees. What is wrong there compared to these ordinary karmis? Are you unhappy? What do you think? All their efforts will be finished, and after death, they will become a cat, or a dog, or a tree. Devotee says to Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes, Srila Prabhupada, even if we explain this, and the people seem to understand, still they won't do anything about it. Prabhupada replies, so you have to constantly poke them. Just like when a man is sleeping, you have to call him constantly, Mr. John. Oh, he's not here. Mr. John, wake up, you rascal. Why are you sleeping? We'll try that on Mr. John. You have got this opportunity of human form of life. Now get up, take to Krishna consciousness, and solve all your problems. Devotee. Some people say that if we want to do this, it's all right, but we shouldn't preach and insist to them. Everyone has his own way, Srila Prabhupada. But you are a human being, you rascal. You are sleeping, and we are just trying to awaken you. Suppose a child was going off to one side where there is danger. We are human beings, so we shall say, no, go to the right. We shall try to save him. That is our business, to do good to others. That is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not that this man is going to hell, so let him go to hell. But at least I am. This is not humane. Devotee. A lot of times, Srila Prabhupada, they feel we're just escaping material life. They say we don't have jobs. We should come here. And we should work for a living. Prabhupada. You work, but we are rich men. We are Krishna's sons. So why shall I work like you, an ass? An ass will work unnecessarily. We are not asses. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shishikoranitaya Maya Pashashi ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so this is a long one. It's 4. So I think I'll just run through the Sanskrit and then we'll just do the word for word. That's okay. Otherwise, we'll never get to the class. So I'll just run through the Sanskrit. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, entitled Lord Rishabhadev's Teachings. So a lot of these verses are very famous. We recognize them as we come across them. So I'll just run through. Hamsigaro Maya Bhaktyan Vritta Vitsnaya Dvanvatikshaya Cha Savatra Jantovyasnyan Kyatya Yagyasya Tapase Nivricha Madkamibe Matkataya Chanicham Mad Deva Sanganguna Ketanam Me Nivaira Samyopasame Naputra Jihasya Dehagehatma Bude Ajatma Yogena Vivikta Sevaya Prapanyan Driyatmipiayan Sadriyak Satrajanaya Brahmacharyena Sasvad Asam Pramadena Yamena Vacham Savatramad Bhava Vichakshenena Gyanena Vigyana Virachitena Yogena Trityudyama Sattvavyukto Lingam Vyopayat Kushaloham Akyam. So responsibly please. Hamse, who is a Paramahamsa or the most exalted, spiritually advanced person. Guru, to the spiritual master. Mai, unto me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhakcha, by devotional service. Anuvricha, by following. Vitrishnaya, by detachment from sense gratification. Dvanva, of the dualities of the material world. Titikshaya, by tolerance. Cha, also. Savatra, everywhere. Janto, of the living entity. Yasana, the miserable condition of life. Avagacha, by realizing. Gigashaya, by inquiring about the truth. Tapasa, by practicing austerities and penances. Iha nivricha, by giving up the endeavor for sense enjoyment. Matkamabi, by working for me. Matkaya, by hearing topics about me. Cha, also. Nityam, always. Mat Deva Sangat, by association with my devotees. Guna Ketanat Me, by chanting and glorifying my transcendental qualities. Nirvaira, being without enmity. Samya, seeing everyone equally by spiritual understanding. Upashamena, by subduing anger, lamentation, and so on. Putra, O sons. Jihasaya, by desiring to give up. Deha, with the body. Geha, with the home. Atmabode, identification of the self. Adhyatma Yogena, by study of the revealed scriptures. Vivikta Sevaya, by living in a solitary place. Prana, the life air. Indriya, the senses. Atma, the mind. Abhijayena, by controlling. Sadriyak, completely. Satsradaya, by developing faith in the scriptures. Brahmacharya, by observing celibacy. Sasvat, always. Asapramena, by not being bewildered. Yamena, by restraint. Vacham, of words. Sarvatra, everywhere. Matbhava, thinking of me. Vichakshena, by observing. Jnanena, by development of knowledge. Vijnana, by practical application of knowledge. Virajitena, illumined. Yogena, by practice of bhakti yoga. Dhriti, patience. Udyama, enthusiasm. Sattva, discretion. Yukta, endowed with. Lingam, the cause of material bondage. Vyapohe, one can give up. Kushala, in full auspiciousness. Aham akyam, false ego, false identification with the material world. Any questions? Translation. Oh, my sons, you should accept a highly elevated Paramahamsa, a spiritually advanced spiritual master. In this way, you should place your faith and love in me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You should detest sense gratification and tolerate the duality of pleasure and pain, which are like the seasonal changes of summer and winter. Try to realize the miserable condition of living entities who are miserable even in the higher planetary systems. Philosophically inquire about the truth, then undergo all kinds of austerities and penances for the sake of devotional service. Give up the endeavor for sense enjoyment and engage in the service of the Lord. Listen to discussions about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and always associate with devotees. Chant about and glorify the Supreme Lord and look upon everyone equally on the spiritual platform. Give up enmity and subdue anger and lamentation. Abandon identifying the self with the body and the home and practice reading the revealed scriptures. Live in a secluded place and practice the process by which you can completely control your life air, mind, and senses. Have full faith in the revealed scriptures, the Vedic literatures, and always observe celibacy. Perform your prescribed duties and avoid unnecessary talks. Always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, acquire knowledge from the right source. Thus, practicing Bhakti Yoga, you will patiently and enthusiastically be elevated in knowledge and will be able to give up the false ego. But by Srila Prabhupada ki jai, in these 4 verses, Rishabdev tells his sons how they can be freed from the false identification arising from false ego and material conditional life. One gradually becomes liberated by practicing as mentioned above. All these prescribed methods enable one to give up the material body, lingam vyapohet, and be situated in his original spiritual body. First of all, one has to accept a bona fide spiritual master. This is advocated by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Shi Guru Padashraya. To be freed from the entanglement of the material world, one has to approach a spiritual master. Tad vigyatam siguram eva vigachate. By questioning the spiritual master and by serving him, one can advance in spiritual life. When one engages in devotional service, naturally the attraction for personal comfort, for eating, sleeping, and dressing is reduced. By associating with a devotee, a spiritual standard is maintained. The word Mad Deva Sangat is very important. There are many so-called religions devoted to the worship of various demigods, but here, good association means association with one who simply accepts Krishna as his worshipful deity. Another important item is Dvanva Titiksha. As long as one is situated in the material world, there must be pleasure and pain arising from the material body. As Krishna advises in Bhagavad Gita, Tams Titikshas Vabharata, one has to learn how to tolerate the temporary pains and pleasures of this material world. One must also be detached from his family and practice celibacy. Sex with one's wife, according to the scriptural injunctions, is also accepted as brahmachari, celibacy. But illicit sex is opposed to religious principles and it hampers advancement in spiritual consciousness. Another important word is vijnana virajata. Everything should be done very scientifically and consciously. One should be a realized soul. In this way, one can give up the entanglement of material bondage. As Sri Madhvacharya points out, the sum and substance of these 4 slokas is that one should refrain from acting out of desire for sense gratification and should instead always engage in the Lord's living service. In other words, Bhakti Yoga is the acknowledged path of liberation. Srila Madhvacharya quotes from the Adhyatma, Atmano vihitam karma, avaja tanya kamana, kamasya cha pariyago, niriheyo uttama. One should perform activities only for the benefit of the soul. Any other activity should be given up. When a person is situated in this way, he is said to be desireless. Actually, a living entity cannot be totally desireless, but when he desires the benefit of the soul and nothing else, he is said to be desireless. Spiritual knowledge is jnana, vijnana, samanvitam. When one is fully equipped with jnana and vijnana, he is perfect. Jnana means that one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, to be the Supreme Being. Vijnana refers to the activities that liberate one from the ignorance of material existence. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Jnanam paramaguyam mayad vijnana samanvitam. Knowledge of the Supreme Lord is very confidential, and the supreme knowledge by which one understands him furthers the liberation of all living entities. This knowledge is vijnana, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Janmakama chime divyam evam yogatitapata chikvidayam pana janma naitimam eti sojana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Om Agyanatimiranda Chagananjana Shalakaya Chaksharan Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchikapatrubhischa kripa sindhuvyeva cha paditanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So, just to put everyone in the picture, this is Lord Rishabdev speaking, a very elevated personality, speaking to his sons, and he's speaking these instructions not only so that his sons hear it, but he's speaking it so that everybody else hears it as well. There's a great assembly of elevated personalities there. And Lord Rishabdev is giving out these teachings for everyone's benefit. And so he's also giving the teachings out for the benefit of people today, especially today. People are more off the beaten path than before about how they should be living their lives, and what is the purpose of their lives. Like we were reading, Srila Prabhupada was saying, we don't work hard like asses, but people outside are working so hard, even harder than we are as devotees. Sometimes working 2 jobs, the wife also working so hard that they hardly even see each other or the children, also that they can pay for things that they don't really need. It would be much easier to get rid of the desires that make them have to work so hard to get the things, to fulfill the desires. It would be easy just to get free from the desires in the first place. So as devotees, we learn this ability to become satisfied with a very, very simple life. We have good food, we have good association, hopefully most of the time. And we have a purpose to what we're doing. We have a spring in our step, a twinkle in our eye, and we're happy about life. And we're not afraid of dying. I was just speaking yesterday to one friend of mine who's had a stroke. So as he's speaking, his speech is slurred. But he has such a strong grasp of Krishna consciousness that he's taking it all as helping him to become free from pride. So we have a different way, a different strategy for how we deal with life and its problems. It enables us to tolerate what would be intolerable for people who lead lives which are very superficial and shallow, where their lives are only revolving around how they can gratify their senses or acquire some material object. And that is the whole purpose of their life. So when this is taken away from them, then everything is taken away from them. Whereas for a devotee, when these things are taken away, he sees this as an opportunity now to deepen his spiritual consciousness. And so there was living proof, speaking to this devotee. And even though his speech is impaired, you can tell it's still him, still the same person there. And he's so keen to talk and glorify Krishna and see things in a spiritual way. So that was interesting to see how the philosophy does work, actually. It's called vijnana. Jnana means that we sit here and we all agree on something. Oh yeah, it's terrible. Oh yeah, we shouldn't. That's so bad. We could talk about smoking and say, yeah, smoking is so bad. These are the statistics. These people died. Look at the cancer in this person's lungs. It's so bad. And then anyway, let's finish now and go and have a cigarette. And then everyone goes out and has a smoke. And so they have the knowledge, but then it's the question is, can you put it into practice? And that's called vijnana. Jnana is knowledge, and vijnana means you're able to practice it. You're able to display by your behavior the knowledge that you've acquired. So we have knowledge about how we should be detached, how we should be tolerant, how we should be free from anger, free from enmity. And we're all on the same page. Everyone agrees, And then something happens. Oh, who does he think he is? And then we say, okay, well, you've accepted it, but now you have to. There's a lot of things that we believe, but that we don't actually, by our actions, don't reflect. So we think we believe it. In one sense, we do believe it, but we don't really believe it, in the sense that our actions don't reflect what we think we believe. So, and that's why our whole process, we don't call it religion. It's scientific. Srila Prabhupada is saying it's a scientific. So we call it self-realization. It's a process of self-realization. And it means figuring yourself out and working out, why am I doing these things? Why am I showing enmity to somebody? Why am I in a bad mood? Why does this person annoy me? Why am I so easily disturbed? So you have to figure it out. It's like those, they have those, what do they call those things that have got colors? You tend them. A Rubik's Cube. So you're your own Rubik's Cube. And you've got to try and get everything to line up. So you've got a red one here, a blue one there, and a green one there. And it's supposed to be all red ones. So why don't I behave the right way? Why am I horrible like that? How can I get myself aligned so that I'm behaving in the way that I believe I should be behaving? I should be behaving in a way that reflects my values. And if you do that on yourself, you start working on yourself and stop practicing everybody else realization. Well, look at the state of him. He's so fat. When was the last time he went to the gym? Look at him. He's huffing and puffing up the hill. Oh, and look at him now. His eyes have gone really wide because he's seen some prasadam. And we're all trying to figure everybody else out. Look at him over there. He looks so miserable. Why doesn't he cheer himself up? Go and chant Hare Krishna for goodness sake. And look at that one over there. He's supposed to be singing. Sounds like he's groaning. He's doing an impersonation of a whale. He should get himself together. I would never sing like that. You would never catch me doing that. That's everybody else realization. So you just let yourself off the hook. You don't have to worry about yourself. And then the other funny thing is you'll find that the things that most annoy you about other people are the things that you've got, are the problems that you've got. They're called triggers. Everyone's got triggers inside them. So what triggers you is a weakness that you've got that you see somebody else showing. So it's like really dozy, and you're so, why doesn't he stop being so dozy? It's because you're really dozy, and therefore you don't like it. Whereas if the person is dozy and you're not dozy, then it's like, oh, maybe we can give him a hand. He looks a bit spaced out this morning. You've only got one sock on, Peru. Did you notice that? And but we're okay about it. It's not like, do you know you've only got one sock on? I can't take this anymore. It shouldn't be. If it's like that, then it means there's something wrong with us, you see. So self-realization, we have to try and figure ourselves out. We've all taken up this process to try and become saints. I remember when I was first reading about this, and I was thinking, a saint? I can't even, if I can have a shower once a day, I'll be doing well. If I'm going to be a saint, you know. I went from a punk to a monk. I was more of a skunk, actually, than a punk. I used to think I'll have a shower once a week, whether I need it or not. And I used to just wear the same clothes until they fell off me. And that was just, I had really long, greasy, smelly hair. And I have a photograph of myself before I joined, actually, and the before and after. And I was reading in the books, you need to become a pure devotee, you need to become a saint. So when I first came and I saw all the devotees, I thought all the devotees in the temple were virgins, and that when they found out that I wasn't, I'd probably get thrown out. So I was really nervous, because the devotees looked so pure. I was looking at them, I was thinking they could never have even thought of some of the things. So I was feeling very uncomfortable. And then after just a little bit of chanting and a little bit of having a shower once a day and wearing a clean dhoti, suddenly I was thinking, I can do this. You can actually do it. You can actually become really nice. You can become a really nice person. It's possible to do it. So we have to have that confidence. Utsaha nischat dariyat. We need to practice the process with confidence. That means we have to have a good, favorable attitude to what we're doing. If you're doing Krishna consciousness without confidence, it's the most painful thing. It's like trying to drive a car by looking in the rear view mirror, because you're trying to go forward, but you're just looking at all the things that you've done wrong. I'm so useless. I was so bad at this. I was so bad. But you're supposed to be just forgetting that now and just look through the windscreen. You can see where you're going. You want to go up the hill. Well, you better look at the top of the hill then, so you don't crash the car. Oh no, I'm just so bad. And we're focused on the rear view mirror. So then we're not going to make such good progress. So we become confident. We become confident that we can do this. Not because we're special or anything, but we have some amazing tools at our disposal. We have the association of the devotees, we have devotional service itself, we have prasadam, spiritual food, sanctified food, which is in its own, just eating prasadam is itself a perfection. It can free you from so many inauspicious reactions. Deities to take darshana. We have the holy name that we can absorb our consciousness in the sound vibration and purify ourselves from the influence of the lower modes of material nature. We have so many things, to be positive about. There's a book called The Power of Positive Thinking, and the person who put the book together, the only thing that he's got in it, in the book, is praying. He's just talking about praying all the time. And when you're having a really bad problem, get together with a few friends, hold their hands, and then pray for the same thing together. And when you're praying for somebody else, it's more powerful than praying for something for yourself, because God's more inclined to fulfill prayers which are for other people than for yourself. And it's just pray for this, pray for that, pray for that, pray. He doesn't talk anywhere about going to Mangalarti or circumambulating Tulsi Devi or taking Charanamrita or chanting the holy name or offering a candle to Radha Damodar in the month of Kartik. We've got so much stuff actually at our disposal, so many tools, so much powerful instruments that we can employ to defeat the influence of the material nature. We haven't got time to get depressed, to get negative. We've got so much stuff to do. We should just get into it and get on with it. There's so much to do, so little time and so much to do. So many holy names to chant, so many nice prayers to offer, so much prasadam to respect, all just waiting there for us. We haven't got time to hang about. Any questions or comments? It all seems simple on paper. Yes, Kishan Prabhu.
You mentioned about spiritual ethical honesty and the confidence and rearview mirror trying to drive forward.
Yeah.
How does one develop that confidence and stop lamenting on past mistakes?
So there we get a question. So Kishan was asking, how do you get free from this tendency? How do you get free from this tendency to drive forward and not be focused on looking at the rear view mirror, not be preoccupied with your failings and mistakes that you've made in the past? So there are two things. There's guilt and there's shame. Guilt is something you feel for a few days, and shame is something that you are. And you can stay in shame for the rest of your life. You can feed it. You can feed shame. Oh, I'm such a terrible person. The way I slipped the other day and put that kitchery down that poor devotee's character, and it's just got turmeric. I'll never get that turmeric out. And you come back 20 years later, that stain. I guess just can't forget that stain on the poor devotee's character. You have to throw the character away, and it's never the same again. And so you stay in shame your entire life. Whereas guilt, oh dear, that was a mistake. Okay, I better get on then. I better make sure. I was traveling car the other day and went over a rock, and I could have just jumped out and just beat my head with the rock for 3 weeks. I'm such a useless driver. This rock, I should kill myself with this rock. Broke the car. But I couldn't just say, oh, well, that was really, really bad. I better make sure now I really focus on where I'm going so I don't make the same mistake. Because the problem is, lamenting over what you've done in the past generally guarantees you're going to do it again. It's the very, very thing you don't want to do. It's the very, very thing. And we're thinking, well, I'm a good person, and because I did something bad, I should feel bad about myself. And if I don't feel bad about myself, then I'm a bad person, so I have to think I'm bad so that I know I'm a good person. Whereas if I was a bad person, then I could feel good about being a bad person, and I really wouldn't be a good person, I would actually be a bad person. But because I'm a good person, and I've done something bad, I should always feel like I'm a bad person, because otherwise I wouldn't be actually a good person, a bad person. So we get caught in this loop. So then we can't actually just go and be a good person. Okay, I made a mistake, I'm really, really sorry. I'm prepared to move that rock out the way, I'm prepared to try much more carefully now. I'm a better person for it. That event has nourished me. I've become stronger in my resolve to do the right thing. Let me go on now forward and avoid the rocks, or at least most of the rocks in the future. It's the power of everything, actually. The power of positive praying, the power of positive prasadam, respecting, even the power of positive making mistakes and learning from them. Because you see, the thing about mistakes is, mistakes aren't actually a failure, they're just information. Mistakes are just more information. You get more information. That's all they are. You make a mistake, oh, I've got more information. Don't try that one again. This morning I tried taking a shower with all my clothes on. While I was chanting in Japa, it was really bad, I caught a cold. Okay, you made a mistake. You just got the information. Don't do that again. That's not a good idea. Whereas a mistake becomes a failure when you give up. If you decide, oh my goodness me, that was such a crazy mistake, I'm going to give up. I'm going to throw my bead bag in the Mersey, in Clyde, and I'll never come to Mangalati ever again. So then the mistake becomes a failure because you discontinue. If you continue on, no matter how many mistakes that you make, all you're doing is just acquiring more information. Sometimes you may be acquiring the information in a very, very slow way, but you're still acquiring the information, and you're still going forward. And you're only a failure when you give up. You can fail 1,000,000 times, and you're a success if you don't give up. You'll be a success, I guarantee it. If you don't give up, if you carry on with your devotional practices, you carry on doing your meditation, you carry on trying to be a saint, you will achieve success. You'll get there. If you give up, You cannot, nobody achieved anything of any value at any time in this world by being discouraged. It's of no use. It's an anartha, it's an unwanted thing. You can never justify being discouraged. Even if you're in the Nazi camp and all your friends are dying because they're being tortured to death, you can still look on the bright side and be happy. So what to speak, how can I be happy? That devotee, he was serving everybody halva, and he only gave me half the halva that everybody else got. How am I supposed to be happy after that? The smallest thing can make us so upset. And it's up to us, we choose whether we want to be. We could say, well, it's not my fault I'm unhappy, it's because of him. I'd be happy if it wasn't for him. But it's up to you, you make the choice whether you want to be happy. Nobody else. Nobody else can get inside your head and make you unhappy. If you decide, nope, doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to be happy anyway, you can do that, it's your choice. Don't blame anybody else. See, we have freedom of choice, but what we actually want is freedom from choice. And if you want freedom from choice, you lose the human form of life, you become an animal, because the animal doesn't have freedom of choice. We have freedom of choice. That means it's our fault if we're unhappy, nobody else's. It's our fault. It's our fault if we're this, it's our fault if we're that. Nobody else's. So you can't blame anybody else. It's up to you. You want to be happy? You want to be positive? Okay, then be it. Just go ahead and be it. We're afraid of being fearless. That's the problem. We're thinking, I don't even go into that space. I might become a pure devotee. I might dark into the basement. I'm sure about that. The very thing we want is the very thing we're afraid of. We want to be happy, we want to be independent of other people, transcendental to the circumstances around us. We want that, so let's embrace it. Let's go for it. Let's stop looking at the rear view mirror and start looking at what we're being offered here, And we're being offered a lot, actually. Again, it's a lot that's, compared to working a job. You work the job and once you get a house and a couple of kids that aren't even grateful for it. That's what you get. And compared to what we're being offered, we're getting a lot more. We're not just getting a house, we're getting our home, back to God. Not just a house, not back to a house, back to Naghead, back home. Nothing personal to it. Any other questions or comments? It's like they say, isn't it? Always look on the bright side. And in fact, even always look on the bright side of death. That thing which is going to take everything away is going to get replaced with something much better. So, I was just reading it this morning actually. Don't hang on to things that Krishna's taking away from you, because he's only taking them away so he can give you something better. Whatever it is, just let him take it, whatever it is, and you'll get something even better. But if you hold on and there's a tug of war, then that's when it gets difficult. Let Krishna take it. Just let him take it. Okay, Hari, take it away. Take it away. Get it off me. That's why we have to read every day to remember that this is not what we want. We're holding on to stuff thinking this is it. I've got it now. I'm not going to let it go. Can't even hold on to your own looks. If you're proud of being pretty. And maybe you have to spend a while in the mirror to get that angle. Oh, that's it. Okay, now I look like Brad Pitt now. So you have to come, when you're shaving, you have to do it like that. But not for the ladies. Because you're holding on to your looks. This is how you want to be seen, and you want to stay like this. And you can't even hold on to that. It all goes south. Everything hangs down eventually. So let Krishna take it away. He gave us it in the first place, and now he's gradually taking it away from us. So just let him take it. He gave it, he's taking it away. He's going to replace it with something better.
Is it better to voluntarily accept difficulties and be forced into it because if you're going to have to go through something anyway, you voluntarily do it rather than pushed or forced into doing it. easier.
Yeah, if you want to get through a mulberry bush, a mulberry bush is very prickly, and it may be that you're in the field with an angry bull wearing a pair of bright red trousers, and the bull's running towards you, and you just said, okay, I'm going to have to get out the field. So you start crawling through the mulberry bush really, really slowly, and it's really, really painful. And then eventually you do get through it. If the bull doesn't get there first, he'll help you through it. But the best thing would be to take a few steps back, look at the mulberry bush, put your head down, and then go for it. You get through it really fast. So yeah, better to embrace every opportunity and be very enthusiastic. I heard this story, didn't I, Trudy? That a bus went over the side of a cliff going around the park full of devotees. And as it went over, they could hear, Hari-Bo! So they didn't get mental, they just realized, okay, time's up. Better get ready for the final. So a devotee is like that. Devotee is, he's not afraid of anything. He takes this as a step closer to Krishna. Just like when Krishna lifted Govardhan hill, then he was encouraging them, just come and take shelter. They were looking at the hill and thinking, well, he's only a 7-year-old boy and he's lifting up this massive mountain. It was actually, it wasn't a hill, it was a mountain, Govardhan mountain actually. I'm not sure, I think I'll take the chances with the rain. Where's that umbrella, you know? Or get under the, so Krishna's just saying, take shelter. So even if it seems like he's not going to be able to pull it off, we have to just take shelter. We have to have faith, strong faith. Faith means strong faith. We're building up our faith. We're in the faith gym, building up the faith, so we become stronger. So that eventually when it's our time to run under that Govardhan hill, we'll just run under it, we won't be like, oh, I'm not sure. But it's starting to totter, he's going to drop it. And there is one bit where he does totter. And everyone's like, they all get their sticks up, he's going to drop it. And Balaram's laughing. And he's laughing because he knows Krishna's not going to drop it. We're just laughing that everyone's a little bit disturbed, you know. So it's like that sometimes. Sometimes it looks like we're going to get something heavy's going to drop onto us, and we can maybe have our faith challenged, you know. So we need to override that. And think, Krishna's always helped me so far. He's always protected me so far. He'll continue. And that's why as you go on in your spiritual lives, your shaking sometimes gets a bit more stronger and a little bit more intense, the difficulties as you go now, because you're getting stronger. Krishna wants you strong. He wants to build up your powers of faith so that you're very strong when the final breath leaves you and that you leave this world once and for all. So if we remember that, if we remember what the destination is, then you won't be so worried about along the way. If you're on one of these trains in India where there's you're sharing the bench with 15 other people, 12 goats and 3 chickens, and you've got 5 hours before you reach Delhi. But if you can just meditate on Vrindavan, you're going to be going to Vrindavan, and you can take it, you can accept it. But if you're just here, in the here and now, and taking every moment as it is, then it can be insurmountable, seem insurmountable. So we have to remember the goal, and when these difficulties are there, like one devotee explained to me, life is like going around a racing track, and you're on a horse, and you're going over these little fences, and the little fences are no meat today, no fags today, no looking at the women today, and no putting a pound on the lottery, £2. Okay, I can do that. So you're 16 rounds, that's a bit bigger, okay, 16 rounds. 2 hours meditation, okay, I can do it. And then you have a shower, okay. And so and then every now and again as you're going along, you see this massive mountain, and you fall off the horse, and the horse is like, there's no way, in horse language. And you're looking back, you think, maybe I can just, and you think, no, so you keep on going over the little fences, and the mountain's getting closer. You're thinking, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to do it. And then suddenly you notice the mountain isn't made of stone. The texture of the mountain is canvas. It's been painted on a canvas. It's not a real mountain. And as you're going through, you go clean through without any disturbance at all. And then you're back on those little fences again. And you can do that. You can get up, you can chant, you can not look at this, don't think of that. You can do that, that's not a problem. And then the next mountain comes up and you go, I know what this is, I know what this is. And then sure enough, as you get close, you go clean through. So just keep on track, just keep going over the little hurdles, keep doing what you can do. And if you keep doing what you can do, you'll eventually be able to do what you can't do. But if you stop doing what you can do because you don't think you can do the things that you can't do, then when you stop doing the things that you can do, you'll never be able to do the things that you can't do. You won't even be able to do the things that you can do. So work out what it is you can do. Write 10 things down that you can do easily, and make sure you do those. And then the 10 things that you can't do will become 9 things that you can't do. Then it'll become 8 things that you can't do. And it'll become 7 things that you can't do. You'll be doing so many things. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Laura.
Our duties. So we're talking about Krishna taking things away from us. What about taking away our duties that we feel that we haven't quite fulfilled yet?
Why was it Krishna taking them away?
I don't know.
Because it could be all kinds of things. That's why we need, when we're sailing along in the ocean, we need somebody that's navigating the ship for us. Someone that we know knows how to read the stars and knows where the pole star is. We need him. What was that one we were reading the other day? Karnadari Vanavam. And we think we've made you good this by the will of providence, just so that when we accept you as captain of the ship, for those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. So although your question seems to be about one thing, your question is a symptom of a bigger question that you need to maybe put into place, which is when I come up against things, what's my line of authority? Who do I go to check out with these things? And is the person reliable? Has he or she proven themselves in the past so that I'll know that, well, is this my duty or is this Krishna's arrangement what I should be doing? Because Arjuna was asking the same thing, and Krishna was saying, well, is it my duty to kill these people or is it my duty to be non-violent? And so Krishna had to explain what he had to do. He wasn't sure what to do, you see. He was saying, well, is it better not to act, or is it better to act? And Krishna was saying, well, if you act, there'll be no reaction. But if you don't act, there will be a reaction. So sometimes when we're doing our duty, or thinking it's our duty, there could be a reaction. And by not doing what we think we could do, then we maybe not get a reaction. So action and reaction. If you're watching somebody beat an old lady up with a baseball bat, and you're thinking, well, I'm not going to get involved, so at least don't get any reaction here. I've not done anything, so it's a shame about Betty. She was a nice lady, but I'm not going to get involved, you know. So you get a reaction for that. Whereas if you go over and hit him on the head with a brick or something, and knock him out, and prevent it, you won't get any reaction for that. Although you've caused him grievous harm, but you've saved somebody who was innocent, so that there's no reaction, you see. So when we're trying to work out what our duties are, what we should be doing with our lives, then it's not good to try and do that on our own. It's always good to go to a Shiksha Guru or a Diksha Guru, somebody that's elevated in spiritual consciousness, and they can see the thing properly, and they can say, well, you're thinking this is your duty, but actually, or you're thinking this isn't your duty, but actually, whatever. It's intricate. Material nature is very intricate, and in fact, they were asking Bhishmadev, the only person that could pacify Maharaj Yudhisthira was Bhishmadev, and Bhishmadev was saying, in Kali Yuga, everything is very difficult to understand what to do. That's why we need the great acharyas and following their footsteps, how would they do it? What would they do? You could say, well, if you were in this circumstance and this was happening to you, how would you behave? You know? What would you do? Okay, let's go in the key.
Jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Go Prem Nandi Hari Hari Bol.